At one point in time, Wings of Redemption, AKA Jordie Jordan, was a beloved Call of Duty commentator. He has a dedicated fan base and regularly appeared on the PK podcast. This will be in no particular order, and it won't cover everything. The first thing we'll be going over is the failed surgery. In 2018, Wings of Redemption was able to raise money for a gastric bypass surgery. He was able to raise over $13,000 more than what he needed, even if you include travel expenses and everything else. The goal was $25,000, but the surgery in Mexico, including all of the expenses, only costed him roughly $12,000. The problem wasn't necessarily that he went to Mexico, which Wings seems to misunderstand. It's that he, in his own mind, had already decided to go to Mexico. In truth, he had already made up his mind to take the cheaper route from day one. He didn't need $25,000. He even made that clear. In his own words, he stated that a bariatric surgeon said it would take at least 10 years for him to gain the weight back.
We're going to start my journey now. I never thought I'd get to this point. When I set the goal of to do the surgery, I thought I never actually would raise the money. Or at least it would take years to raise the money, and we ended up raising the money in about 5 months. So like, we're now going to start the process of getting to Mexico. This is the gastric sleeve right here. It's a sleeve gastrotomy. What? I can't say that word. I'm sorry. Gastric sleeve surgery. Basically, what they do is they go in and they cut this off, and they cut 85% of your stomach off, and they leave it in your body, and they make this tube section which holds about 4 ounces, and that's what they do. But like, I put a goal out there of $25,000. That's what I wanted to earn, and there's a couple of reasons for that, right? And I can't say I'm going to be successful. I'm hoping I'm going to be successful. I'm going to try my hardest to be successful. But to ease your mind on a lot of this, a large portion of my problem is my weight. And the weight is the hardest thing to get off. Like, lack of mobility, desire to move around, desire to be accepted, feeling like people are looking at you and laughing at you or making fun of you behind your back, having people make fun of you. Like, I did the FBS boot camp, and a lot of people, it was one of those things that a lot of people looked at and be like, oh, you kind of failed at. I don't consider the FBS boot camp a failure. I lost 50 pounds in a month. It's going to take, even at the worst case scenario, it would take me a year to stretch the stomach back out, and that's if I'm trying. But I'm not going to be trying. I'm going to be trying to lose this weight, because I look at this opportunity as my viewer base, fans, subscribers, however you want to call it, they're giving me a second chance at life. I'm 31 right now, and like, I've been fat my whole life. I'm just tired of it. I'm willing to fly to another country and have my stomach cut out. And I'm tired of being fat. Well, this is the ace in hole. This is the last hurrah. If I failed this, I'd die. I'd die in a bed alone. Yeah, they all got doctorate degrees, man. I had a bariatric surgery tell me in my face that there's no way I can avoid losing weight with this surgery. He said, yes, you can gain weight back, but it's going to take you 10 years to do it. And I'm looking at it this way, like, even if it doesn't change my eating habits, for what I'm paying, $7,000, $8,000 for 10 years of not being this, I'd pay it every day of the week. Imagine waking up every day of your life, barely able to walk, and all you do is get picked on and criticized. That's my life. Like, I hate my fucking life at this point. I really do. It ain't about getting a motherfucking surgery, dude. There's a lot more things to it. Not to mention, I'm scared to fucking death of the surgery. I'm scared of it. How long till you see results?
War is hell.
That depends on every different person.
Alright, run it again.
I'm currently 438. I started at 472. So in the last month, I've dropped right around 50 pounds with the pre-op diet. I can sit across at a restaurant and watch somebody eat an entire, I don't know, let's like a steak sandwich, right? You have fucking barbecue sauce, you know, good pieces of steak, you know, maybe some onions, French fries. I can sit there and watch it. I can smell it. I know what it tastes like. I know how good it tastes from prior experience. But at the same time, I don't have hunger, and my brain doesn't crave it. Like well, that's kind of contradictory. My brain, it's easier to be like, you can't have it. I think it's going to change my life for the better. And one of the main reasons I decided to go through with the surgery is I found very few people that regret it. Like, there's cool moments, like being able to wear like shirts that I've never thought I could wear. That's fucking cool. Learning that my truck has a bell for like seatbelt extender, because I don't use my seatbelt extender anymore in my truck. That's pretty fucking cool. Well, I have quit soda. Like, I've quit soda completely. We're going to be fat after 2014, and that's the promise I made to myself.
And yet, he managed to do it in about a quarter of that time. 2 years to be exact. What's even odder is that he ended up getting a new iPhone, a 4K monitor, a watch, a PS4, and an Xbox, amongst other things, all around that time as well. Where did that come from? More than likely the surgery money.
What about the new phone I bought? New phone I bought with my own money. Bought it with my own money. My 4K monitor I paid $400 for. iPhone surgery money, long time watcher, first time donator. And yeah, people were talking about this iPhone. I do have a new iPhone, but this did not come out of surgery money. First off, not everybody donated every dollar to go to the surgery. And second off, every dollar I've made since I took in money for the surgery, right, wasn't directly towards that. For example, my surgery was paid for in February. It's been March, April, May, and now we're toward the end of June. There's 4 months that's just been me regular Twitch. I've made close to $13,000 in those 4 months. And I said from the very beginning that I was trying to save up enough money to have the choice between America and Mexico. The Mexico surgery puts me in a better place to launch the second portion of my life. Because
he says the money wasn't for the surgery, but it literally was. He cried on stream for us to donate to him. How is this complicated? The amount of mental gymnastics is amazing. And all these things he lists the extra $13K is supposed to go to, he never mentioned any of these things prior to getting called out for this. He also mentions buying healthy foods and that they'll be expensive, but then we see him shoveling his face with Wendy's chili. He states that he quit soda completely and changed his eating habits, and yet we see him go back to his old habits. He has a habit of not only being a quitter, but constantly blaming others for his failures. The problem is he never shows any growth or maturity. As we grow up, we learn from our mistakes, and this allows us to become better people. But Jordie never has. Just look back at the FPS boot camp episodes. He claims that Kyle wasn't a good friend, but Kyle gave him motivation, a place to stay, a trainer, and even spent over $5,000 customizing his shower and bath so his fat ass could fit in it. On top of all this, he shows that he is inconsiderate of those around him. He made massive plans to go on a survival trip. Something that him, Kyle, and Woody all planned for. And at the last minute, bails on it. Which is pretty bad, but how do you at least explain it to them on why he wasn't going to go? Or better yet, give it adequate heads up, it's likely the fallout could have been avoided. And yet again, he avoids any accountability.
So the day comes, it's time to do this thing. And so I set out on this quite long drive. I'm going to say it's 5.5 hours from where I lived at the time to where we're doing this thing. So I leave the night before. I'm going to get a motel room in the area 30 minutes from the meetup location. And that way I don't have to drive, early in the morning. I don't want to leave my house at 5 a.m., get there at 10 a.m. and be already just kind of out of it before we begin hiking and surviving and such. So I'm driving in the night before, and I think to myself, hey, let me give old Wings a call, make sure we're all good to go here, because it's Wings. Call him up, say, hey, man, and get ready to do this thing. I'm driving in now, about 3 hours from the place. What are you up to? You could if you left right now, you'd be here around 11, and you could share this motel room with me. I could get a room with 2 beds or something. He's like, I'm not going. What? What do you mean? I'm not coming. When were you going to tell me?
It's not only hurtful to others, but to himself. Because if you never admit there's a problem, namely you in this case, how can you even go about fixing it? Whatever you think of Lefty, he gave a good example of how to handle things. He simply said, I'm not feeling up to it, boys, and they were understanding. On top of all this, he's an animal abuser and killer. Let the fat man tell the story himself.
I'm going to tell 2 different stories here, but I was at my grandma's house one day, and an infomercial came on called Kittens and Caboodles, and I wanted that videotape. So we got the Kittens and Caboodles tapes, and during the Kittens and Caboodles tapes, they talk about how a cat always lands on their feet. And I wanted to test this out. So what I did is I went outside, because we lived in a pretty rural area, and there was a cat, and the cat was on a picnic table. So I pushed the cat off the picnic table. Keep in mind, this is the smaller cat. This is a kitten, like a wild cat. It went and had kittens. So I pushed it off the table, and it kind of flipped around, and it landed on its feet. I'm like, wow, cool, it lands on its feet. So I pick it up, I throw it up in the air, and a different cat comes along, and I'm basically trying to instill dominance over the kittens in our yard, because I kind of grew up as a single child for a while, because I lived with my grandparents a little bit when I was young, and I was bored, so I was outside, I was shooting basketball, and this cat comes along, and we had these 5-gallon buckets. So I took a 5-gallon bucket, and I was like, boop, and I left the bucket on top of him because the cat couldn't move the bucket, and he ended up dying under there. So it was like 5 or 6 years before I moved that bucket again.
The problem with this is the cat cannot consent. They cannot agree to this. And listen to the fat man. He's trying to instill dominance over the cats. And why would you put a cat under a bucket? Listen to the little chuckle he gives recalling the story, like it's him remembering the good old times. He doesn't sound sorry at all. You better call in Chris Hansen on this case, because our boy here not only said kids can consent, but he doubled down on it later.
I did say the age of consent should be 12. You know why I said that? I knew girls that were like 12, 13, 14, fucking on the regular. It has nothing to do with me being a pedophile.
Not only are we still developing both physically and mentally as kids to adulthood, But many of us lack any real experience. Experience that allows us to make more informed decisions. How many of us as kids did something stupid or did something when we were younger that our present day selves regret? Giving away your virginity is a huge thing and can be one of the biggest regrets for a young boy or girl later down the road. The fact that someone would even have to explain this to him is cringe. And even if you knew girls who were quote unquote fucking on the regular, just because you know people doing it, it doesn't make it right. As the old question goes, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? By that same stupid logic, you could argue that if I know people who still, so therefore stilling is okay. Wings is constantly begging for money and complaining on his streams.
The problem is they want me to play shit that I don't care about playing. I hate Call of Duty, so I don't play it. Do you hate chat? I hate streaming, honestly. Like, to me, like, streaming is nothing more than a hassle. Like, all it does is, like, make my anxiety go bad. What's so hard about giving Twitch up? The money. If I went out and got a well-paying job in my area, it might be half of what Twitch makes me. Because trust me, if I could go to do an 8-hour day job and make the same money I make on Twitch, I would have done it a long time ago. What can we do to help me? Nothing. Oh, I know I'd be happier off the internet. Like, if I could just say fuck this and delete everything and just go back and make work, I'd be a much happier person. You had Call of Duty. Nobody donated for it. So Call of Duty's on a 3-day cooldown at this point. I'll try again in 3 days. Now, I'm not asking for donations. I don't like playing Call of Duty. People want me to play Call of Duty. It's one of those you gotta pay to play things.
It's hard dealing with someone who's constantly acting like a Debbie Downer. It kills the mood and ruins the good vibes and experiences for others. People come to watch streams after a busy day at work to unwind. Nobody wants to come home and see a grown man-child being toxic. By that same token, he constantly says how much he hates streaming, but yet he refuses to get a job outside of streaming. On top of all this, he just constantly blames his team for everything.
Yes, it's a Smurf
There you
account.
go, the blaming begins.
Alright, we're dropping Tony as well, man. I'm sorry, Tony, but, like, you're just not ranked material, man.
Guys, you gotta pay attention to the fucking...
I know where it is, but nobody's helping me. Dude, I'm not putting my team down. It's just like they don't help. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have Ghost Dumonte. He's not a very good one.
Boy, what just happened, man?
We went on against a team I'd be trying to get y'all to play like. Come on, dude. You guys suck. Where did I get shot from? Oh my god, dude. Nobody's helping me. Really. Nah, this is a squad, man. But it's like Gustavo's 1 in 5. Like, Gustavo just shouldn't play Rainbow. Honestly. Why am I being so rude to them? They're not playing right. It's because I don't got anybody better. I got the only stack I can play with right now. God damn it. Why aren't you guys helping me? Cosmic Quasar, we're going to have to drop you after this, man. Like, you're not talking and you're not very good. You guys are getting mad at me, dude. Like, it's annoying when you're asking for help and you got 2 guys that are just looking at angles. So I'm like, help me, please.
Wings was actually one of the reasons I was inspired to make the video I made on how to be a better loser in video games. When you constantly lash out at people, they get tired of it. At some point, they're going to grow sick of hearing the excuses. Actions speak louder than words, and verbally abusing others over a game is ridiculous. And then he wants to complain that he has no one to play with. It's not that people aren't willing to forgive you and move on. It's just you haven't shown them any proof you're any different from the beginning. If anything, you seem to get worse. Everything for Wings is not his fault. He places all the blame on factors outside of his control. This gives him an excuse, a get-out-of-jail-free card. If it's not his fault, then it's not under his control. Which means he doesn't have to change because he's not the problem. It's everyone else. For some people, it's a lot easier to blame others than to look at yourself and do the hard work of beginning the process of being a better you. Especially if that requires you undoing years of abusive or toxic behavior. Change, even for the better, can be scary. Because it's the unknown factor. Even if he's miserable, He at least knows what to expect every day. He has a routine down, even if it's one that's ruining his life, marriage, and friendships. It's a familiar one to him.
There aren't many people in your situation that would be so stubborn as to turn down something like this. I don't know of anyone who has tens of thousands of people rooting for him who can sit there and say, yeah, well, opening a yogurt is just too much effort.
I don't like yogurt. I don't like it. And then make me just
You're picking on it.
I don't like it either.
You've got tens of thousands of people cheering you on.
If you're a minority, especially African American, you may take particular offense to the stupid shit Jordie has said over the years. From having a dog named Nigger to saying black people don't tip, he finds new ways to express ignorance to incredible degrees. Anecdotal evidence is not good evidence. For evidence to be considered good, it should follow the scientific method at the very least. Something you can't do with statements like, when I was a delivery driver, black people didn't tip. Knowing Jordie, it may have more to do with his lack of social skills and shitty personality than it has to do with skin color. Wings is, at his core, a very selfish man. For him, unless it somehow benefits him, he sees no point in doing nice things for other people.
What am I doing for Mother's Day? Not a damn thing. LOL, Mother's Day is special? Sure. You buy her something then. Nah, I probably won't even talk to my mother on Mother's Day. Are you going to get a present for Gangsta Grandma tomorrow? Probably not, dude. There's always reasons to save money. So, why would I throw money away buying her flowers?
He cannot look beyond the financial aspect and see that just by spending a few dollars to get flowers for his mother and grandmother, that the sentimental impact will be priceless. But he's totally okay spending $20 to $50 a day eating fast food. Wow, what great priorities Liquid Richard has. Wings has brought his same toxic behavior to his relationships. He had a failed relationship with Brandy, and now Kelly.
Get off at 12 still?
No.
Why?
It's not. What are you looking at for?
Can you not take a 5-minute break?
No, because it's going to be more than a 5-minute conversation.
I'm good with you shutting me out.
Whatever.
He shows no concern for her and her emotions. He is an addict to his game, unwilling to quit playing to go attend to her. He literally makes his own schedule. He could just come back to it once he attends to Kelly, but he chooses to be a failure of a husband. Here, he is showing the same habit he showed with Kyle and Woody, where he shows no consideration for others around him. He bails on his plans with Kelly at the last minute. Some people never change, and Wings is a prime example of this. To constantly see someone do the same things over and over, you at some point have to acknowledge that instead of this being a mistake they made, it is instead a core part of their character. I learned 2 key things that are important. The first one is that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that if you're trying to save someone who's drowning and they're kicking and screaming about, they may drag you down with them. Until Wings puts in the effort, until he does the things required of him, he's not changing. He wants the end results without doing all the things required to get from point A to point B. Whenever things are brought up, he resorts to avoiding the question, and if he can't do that, trying to make himself the victim.
Wings, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Why did you skip your grandma's funeral? That's the one question I have for you. Serious question.
I can't
That's a
handle
good
it.
question.
Why?
Just can't handle it. I don't know why.
Accept Christ, Jordie. Accept Christ.
She did so much for you all your life, and you can't pull yourself together for that? I just don't get that, man.
All right, boys.
Don't leave. You didn't answer why you wouldn't go to your own grandma's funeral. I mean, to be fair, that made no sense. When
I got to report the subreddit now.
Yeah.
I'll leave you guys to
Look, all right, look.
He is so caught up in how he feels that he doesn't stop to consider how others feel or the significance and meaning behind him not doing certain things. He did this with his friends when he skipped out on them. He did this with his ex Brandy. He did this with his current wife Kelly, and he did this when he skipped out on his grandmother's funeral. Look, I'm not taking away from Wings. He's clearly got a lot going on, but the world is bigger than just you. At best, it's unfair for you to skip such big events and flake on the people who are there for you at every turn, and at worst, it's a malevolent, abusive pattern of manipulating others around you to seem like you're the poor victim so you can get pity and sympathy, all without ever returning the kindness given to you. We see this clearly in the pity donations he receives. He is totally okay with everybody bending over and taking it for him, but would not give you the breadcrumbs from underneath his double chin. Ironically, by seeking an easy life, he has avoided all the things that, with a little bit of effort, could have resulted in long-term satisfaction. In fact, it's resulted in a harder life for him. Look how miserable he is. Even with fans that do try to be nice to him, he shows no interest in being personable in any way.
So how's it been, man?
I'm not here to conversate, man.
You're not here to talk?
No. Talk about the game.
Okay.
I remember hearing a saying, and it goes, tough men create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and weak men create tough times. And I think Wings is a prime example of this. In the end, Wings will probably never change, and will only see the folly of his ways if a major event happens or it's too little, too late.